Hello, and welcome to lesson 2 of our ABRSM grade 4 rudiment of music. In today's class, we'll be talking about grouping of notes and rest. The learning outcomes are as follows. We'll be revisiting earlier grouping of notes and rest we've done in previous grades, as well as introducing new rules for grouping of notes and rest in some of the compound time signatures we've introduced in grade 4. So let's begin. Grouping of notes and rest generally, like we've learned from grade 1, deals with organizing smaller notes and rest values. That's notes and rest values that has beams. Talking about notes like quavers, semiquavers, demi-semiquavers, and demi-semiquavers. And we organize those beams or group those beams according to the time signature. So we don't just group and join those beams erratically. They are done by, there are rules guiding how those beams are grouped, and those rules are determined by the type of time signature the notes possess. So that's why another way of talking about grouping of notes is also beaming of notes. So you beam notes together as well as rest together according to their time signature structure. But we're not going to go into details about how to do that in this grade, simply because we've looked at grouping of notes in simple time signature. So if you want to reconsider how to group notes in simple time signature, we've done that in grade 1 lesson 7 as well as grade 2 lesson 2. So you want to revisit any of those lessons to mop up your skills in that area. And it's very important you still understand these rules, because as you go on in the grade, you can still be examined on some of the things you've done in grade 1. So you may not be surprised to see questions on beaming or grouping of notes in simple time signature in your grade 4 exams. So please, if you've forgotten some of those rules, I know there are quite several of them, try to get back to those lessons and just give yourself a refresher course. And then we considered in our grade 3 lesson 2 how to group notes in compound time. Remember the three compound time signature we introduced in grade 3 are for 6 8, 9 8, and 12 8. So those are the three compound time we introduced. And then we exhaustively discussed how to group notes and rest, especially demi-semiquavers. Demi-semiquavers under these three compound time signature that I've just mentioned: 6 8, 9 8, and 12 8. So please, if you, it's very important, you just have to know them. If you have forgotten any of them, please go back to grade 3 lesson 2 and revisit that class. It's very important you know those rules, because it will guide you in understanding how to group notes within the compound time signature we introduced in grade 4. Remember last lesson we introduced some other compound time signatures, um, like 6 4, 9 4, 12 4, and then also 6 16, 9 16, 12 16. So how do we group notes, rest under this new set of time signature, compound time signatures that we've introduced? What are there new rules for grouping notes and rests under this time signature that we've introduced? Let's see. So the first thing I want you to know is that the rules are similar. And that's why you need to revisit grade 3 lesson 2 and really um, revise how to group notes in 6 8, 9 8, 12 8, because it's the same rules that apply for every other time signature in the compound family. It's the same rules. Um, the only difference is that for 6 4, 9 4, 12 4, what can you see? You can see that here you have 6 8, here you have 6 4. What is the difference? The difference here is that the time value here is just half of the time value here. This is a quaver beat, right? Or this is what? A crochet beat. Or you say this is a dotted crochet beat. This is a dotted meaning, because remember in compound time we use dotted, all right? So this is a dotted meaning, this is a dotted crochet. So it's half. So it's still the same way you beam, it's the same way you group your note, but you now have to, the only thing is that the time values are halved. That's just the difference. But it doesn't matter. It's still the same principle for beaming and grouping of your notes and rest. And then when you move on to 6, 8, 9, 16, 12, 16, in this case, you now have a dotted quiver. You see that a dotted quiver is half of a dotted crochet, as we have, this as, because you look at 888, these are all standard dotted crochet. So it's half of this. It's the same principle. The only thing is the notes here are just double. The time values are double in terms of what you have here. So this double of this gives you this half of this part, this dotted meaning, yes, gives you this dotted crochet, and double of these dotted quivers gives you dotted crochet. So that's just the difference. Every other principle remains the same. So you see why it's important to really go back and revisit grade 3 lesson 2 if you struggle with the rules for grouping notes and rest in compound time. And this is just to give you an example of what I mentioned. If you look at, this is what we did in grade 3, 9, 8, and you can see the principles for grouping, how we grouped that, you have to group a beat together. So this is a dot. If you count this that is beamed together now, it should give you a dotted crochet, and then this gives you another dotted crochet, and then you see this gives you another dotted crochet. So you see these notes are beamed because the standard beat here is a dotted crochet, 9, 8, so it is a dotted crochet. So the notes are beamed according to beat, dotted crochet, dotted crochet. You see this is a dotted crochet tied to another set of dotted crochet. Then this gives you, everything here also gives you dotted crochet. And if you look at the rest also, if you look at the rest, this here is a gives you a dotted crochet, this gives you a dotted crochet, and this gives you a dotted crochet. So you see these notes are tied, or that's what we did all those in grade 3. But what I'm just trying to say is that in 6-4, in 9-4 rather, talk about 9-4, it's the same thing. The only thing is that just this note now is going to be this is going to be half of this. So this note, whatever you have here, will be half of this. All right. So you could see that where you have a dotted crochet here, a dotted quiver here, okay, yeah, a dotted quiver here. Here you have a dotted crochet. Here you have a semi quiver. Here you have a quiver. Here you have a quiver. Here you have a crochet, and then you tie it. So you see everything goes the same way. If you look at it, the dotted, you have dotted crochet here, you have dotted meaning. You're only doing what? Multiplying whatever you have here by 2 to get what you have here. Because 9-4 is dotted meaning. And you can see that the groups are already in dotted meaning, because if you look at it, when you do it like that, this is this one here, from here to here is a group, gives you a dotted meaning, right? From here to here gives you another dotted meaning, and from here to here gives you another dotted meaning, which is similar to what we had there when you had dotted crochet here, dotted crochet here, dotted crochet here. And then when you go to 9-16, what do you see? Everything you have here, this note is half of what you have here, this value. Everything here is half. Everything here is double. Everything here is half. So you could see, because this is a dotted quiver, 16 is a dotted quiver, 8 is a dotted crochet. So how do I just, what you have here, for example, is a dotted a dotted quiver. So here is a dotted semi-quiver. Then demi semi-quiver, semi-quiver. Just half all these values, and then you put them in, you arrange them in the same way. Nothing changes, because automatically the structure remains. This here gives you, you see, you beam the dotted crochet together. Everything here gives you a dotted quiver, not a dotted crochet. Everything here gives you a dotted crochet. Everything here gives you a dotted quiver. You see, it's the same structure. And then this other part gives you a dotted quiver, a dotted quiver, And then you can continue like that. So you can see that exactly what we've just done now. We retained our structure and then we didn't touch anything. All the structure is the same in this 90. The only thing is that we only halved or doubled the note depending on what the time signature is. So I hope that makes a lot of sense. So if you still struggle, please, like I said, go back to grade 3 and look at lesson 2. Once you understand that, it's the same principle. You have to complete each bit when you are beaming before you move on. That's what we've done here. So there is no new rule we are introducing per se. The old rules from the grade 3 still subsist and is sufficient for us to engage with the compound time signatures we've introduced in grade 4. I hope that makes sense, but please feel free to ask your questions if you have any. Put them on the chat and we'll pick them up from there. Otherwise, we'll end by I'll end by giving you your assignment. So we go for to our ABRSM workbook 4, and then you do exercises 2 and 6. And until then, I will meet you next week again. Please keep studying, keep revising, keep reading, and if you have any question, please feel free to put them on the chat. We'll put them up and we'll try to get back to you with some answers. All right, God bless you. See you next time. Bye.